I should probably.
Good afternoon, or good morning, I guess, still really. Everyone, today is Monday, May 24th, and Tom, I have a confession. The NBA is so back.
I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to hear about it because I have not been paying attention whatsoever.
Yes, it was a great weekend. I'm sure you had fun. How was your weekend?
It was nice. I got to go down to the shore, hang out with some friends. So it was
Jersey
nice.
Shore. Jersey Shore.
Got a little color.
Oh God, do you get sunburnt really easily?
No, I actually have never sunburnt unless I was on the equator. I actually get stupid tan.
I get really like in the summer. Like I've been confused for being like mixed race because I'm Native American, so I have really dark skin. So today, obviously, we're going to get into the NBA a little bit. We'll also talk about Phil Mickelson being the oldest golfer ever to win a major, even though I don't really like how that's a major, but we'll get into that. There was a couple big games of soccer yesterday. We're going to introduce a new segment, 5 Things in 5 Minutes. And then we'll go through all the sports, and we'll finish out we'll do 6 more teams over-unders for the NFL. So let's get it started. Today in sports history, in 1918, the Cleveland Indians' Stan Kowalski set the club record for most innings pitched, 19, as the Indians beat the Yankees 3-2. That's like 3 starts for a pitcher nowadays.
Yeah.
3 starts.
3 starts.
So I thought that was interesting. Also, in 1995, cricketer Sachin Tendulkar weds pediatrician, I'm not even going to try it, Anjali Mehta. So I don't know who that guy is or who she is, but apparently they're famous enough to be listed in today's sports history. So good job. Congratulations, guys, on your, what would this be, 26th anniversary. All right, so here we go. We're going to start with our new segment, 5 Things in 5 Minutes. And the first segment is going to be involving Tom's favorite basketball team. Trae Young hits the floater to give the
Hawks.
The Hawks to win. Yeah. Sorry. Here we go. I'm pulling it up right now. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. It was I saw the clips and I saw the score come in right after the game and I was like, oh, that's the way to open it.
To its defensive lineup, Nila Keela in the game now, defensively on the point. Let's see how they play this.
Here is Young, finds his spot. Young on the floater, puts it in. Trae Young.
Yeah, so Trae Young, that was a big win for them in MSG. It was good to see the Knicks back in action, so that was awesome. But yeah, Trae Young comes down, I think me or you could hit that shot. That was just really bad defense. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you let a guy like that get that open, but so Trae Young, I think in his playoff debut, which is weird because we're seeing a lot of playoff debuts this year. I know Devin Booker made his playoff debut in their big win over the Lakers yesterday, and like I said, Trae Young hit that shot at the buzzer. I think that's going to be a good series. I think it could go to 7, But obviously we'll talk about why I'm kind of back in on the NBA in a little bit. But yeah, that was a big shot from Trae Young. You got anything on that?
No, like obviously it's a big shot. Game 1, his playoff debut. I saw after the game, he said that he is growing into liking being the villain of the NBA, which is pretty interesting. Because I wouldn't consider him necessarily a villain. I just think that he's a unliked character.
I don't think he's that. I like him. I like him.
Yeah, I think he's got the swagger and the moxie that is trying to revitalize the NBA. You know, you see guys like Ja Morant with that same swagger, and Luka, who's turning into a villain, if anything.
I mean, Luka's might go down as like Luka might go down as like the dirtiest player ever, but
that's not true.
He's
who's the guy that had the crap ton of technicals, like Wallace? Rasheed Wallace.
Rasheed Wallace. Yeah, I was hoping actually when North Carolina, when Roy Williams retired, Rasheed Wallace coaches high school basketball. He applied for the job. I was all in on him being the coach. I mean, they would just
all be Grayson Allen.
Yeah, they would just smoke weed after games in like public, and but no, we ended up with Hubert Davis, and things are going incredible. They have no one on the team basically. So yeah, I think that was a big shot by Trae Young. And like I said, the NBA is back. All right, our next clip is from Friday, I believe, or last week sometime. Marshall University wins the men's soccer national title in overtime in sudden death. Hold on, pull it up.
Pass is short and Becerra's there. Semelo was off his line. Becerra goes down hard. Slipped. Joseph now again, one to cut in on that right foot like he always does. Laid off to Diaz. He'll take a shot, bounces back. Still Diaz. Shot! Digs through! It's hit across! And it's Roberts there again! Roberts does it again! 3 straight games, and this one's the big one! He's giving him the national championship!
Ooh. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Indiana is it's a pretty kind of a power program in soccer, but we've seen it in the past, especially around here. You probably don't remember, and you probably don't know it. You're too young, and but Akron used to have the best men's soccer program in the country, and they only had so because they hired a coach from out of country that went over and recruited players from overseas. That seems like that's what Marshall is doing. So you don't see. I mean, that's got to be Marshall's. I don't know, like best athletic thing in the last 20 years, probably. So yeah, good for him. And the coolest thing about that was their 2 previous games and that one all went to overtime, and the same dude scored in 3 straight games to win it in overtime. Talk about clutch. That's pretty big, but
that guy's got the clutch gene, man.
Yeah, I thought that. So now for our next thing, obviously we'll get a little bit more into this when we talk more about the NFL. But Tim Tebow signing a contract with the Jaguars. Like I said, we'll talk about it. But for right now, no one expects him to make the roster, right?
No. Well, I think he might, just because Urban Meyer likes him. Obviously, they had the 2 natties at Florida. He might just for that, but I don't. He looks just so big right now. Like he looks chunky, in all honesty. But I don't expect him to make the roster. But then again, it wouldn't surprise me if he does.
Here is. I'll always remember this. This happened during my freshman year of college. We had like a dorm meeting with our like room advisor, and then we had this on, and it was crazy. I remember it. Tim Tebow throwing on the first play of overtime, throwing to Demaryius Thomas for like an 80-yard touchdown. Yeah, it's crazy. That's when people really started believing he was like God. The
Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 30. It's Thomas at the 50. Stiff arm got him free to the 30, to the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
So I do you remember where you were when that happened? Because I do, like I said.
What year was it?
I think that was 2000. It must have been 2011.
12, 11. Yeah. I mean, I was 10 or 11 or 12 or something like that at that point. So I'm sure I was watching it with my family because we usually for the playoffs, just like we do a constant like string where we have people over and then we have like a big Super Bowl party where they all come over. So I'm sure we were watching it with some family friends or something like that, but I couldn't give you a specific spot where I was at.
Yeah. And I think the funniest thing about that is, I mean, his throwing motion, like the only way I can compare it to is like his throwing motion. It's like he's like almost like Ben Simmons. Like his throwing motion literally takes 2 seconds, and like I mean he goes like all the way around. So but yeah, I do remember that. But we'll talk more about Tebow. I'm starting to question the hiring of Urban Meyer, but like I said, we'll get more into that. Also, in new news, I honestly just saw before we logged on. So in high school basketball, there's a new league. It's going to be called the National Interscholastic Basketball Conference. It's basically college for high school kids, basically. So it's all your powerhouses, Oak Hill, Montverde from Florida, IMG Academy. I think there's 8. There's going to be a total of 10 teams. I think they have 8. Sunrise Christian is one of them. Here, let me pull this up. But there's 2 teams that yet to be announced. But yeah, I mean, if this is the way basketball is going, I mean, then the one and done rule can only be quickly behind it to be abolished. So, but I thought this was really interesting because I mean, even when I was in high school, I mean, it was getting big. Like basketball, high school basketball was kind of big. Like you would see these Oak Hill, Montverde like matchups like once a year or whatever. And then I think what was it a couple of years ago they started that Geico tournament at the end of the year. But now, yeah, all these big schools are just going to play each other in the same conference. It's kind of like the Champions League it's basically what European soccer tried to do. And I mean, it's weird to me because I mean, granted, I wish I could have been good enough or something to go like that. But I mean, Montverde is in Florida, and like Sierra Canyon is in California. Like they're going to be flying back and forth like college kids. Yeah. So it'll be a good experience, and hopefully it'll like give them a kind of like how it feels to be a pro. But I think I didn't read if they had announced any TV deal, but I can only imagine there'll be one high school game a week on there or something like that.
Yeah,
so.
well, and like it reminds me a lot of the high school football that we saw when. Did you ever watch QB1 on Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like QB1 where you see Bishop Gorman flying halfway across the country to go play, and it's literally like pro football. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see it for sure, but it's just it's crazy to me that's sports now.
I'm 100% like there's a game on every week. I'll watch it. I mean, I think high school basketball is awesome. But yeah, so that's crazy. But then again, I mean, like I said, I think all the momentum is building towards this NIL bill passing, and this is just more of putting players in a position to like. I think maybe like 10 years ago, I'd have been like, "Oh, this is ruining the game," but now it's just so like you're just so fast tracked. Like from the age you turn like you're a freshman in high school, you're so fast tracked if you're a good player to get there. So I mean, might as well start letting them go pro at 18, but. So we'll definitely have more about that in the future. But yeah, like I said, Montverde, Oak Hill, IMG, La Lumiere in Indiana, Sunrise Christian in Kansas, Wasatch Academy in Utah. So I mean, it's not even like the weirdest thing is this isn't even like it's like a conference in college football, like where they're somewhere like close, like. They're on the opposite ends of America. So, but like I said, it'll be interesting. And I got to tell you, I think those schools have the money that they need to do. So I thought that was interesting. And then our final thing, this seems to be fast track and is being picked up. I maybe thought about it for a second, but so Julio Jones seems to be on his way out of Atlanta. I've seen everything from New England to Baltimore, everything like that. So, I mean, what do you got on? Where do you think he ends up?
In my personal opinion, like there's only 2 teams that he should want to go to, and for different reasons. One, going up to New England, in both spots that I think he'll go, he'll be the number 1 receiver, and he'll be the guy that could make them potentially a threat in the playoffs. But New England is one because they just have a gaping hole at their wide receiver 1 position. N'Keal Harry and Jacoby Myers are not going to get the job done, even for Mac Jones, who's supposedly going to be a step up from Cam Newton, but we all know how we feel about Cam Newton and Mac Jones here. But I mean, that's just like a logical spot for them. And they're in a win now mode because a lot of their defenders are on the back end of their careers and they need to win one so Bill can retire. So that, and they have the assets in the future that they can give up for Julio Jones. The other spot that's more of a young up and coming team that is looking to make a push is the Ravens. I know they just drafted Rashad Bateman, and he's supposedly going to come in as the 1, but Willie Snead or who's the other guy that they drafted, the wide receiver? I feel like they got
Marquise Brown.
No,
Terrence. Did they get Terrence Marshall?
No, that was the Panthers. The Ravens got someone else. I know who it is, and I think he's better than.
Just keep going. I'll look it up.
Right now, the receiving core is Rashad Bateman, Marquise Brown, and Willie Snead, with the 4th guy I think being better than Willie Snead. But I don't see that being a viable option for them to be running as their 4 wide receivers. So getting Julio Jones, you'll have him and Bateman on the outside. You can have Marquise Brown go back to playing the slot, which is where he was the most effective. And if he ends up still getting injury prone all the time, then he's going to lose his spot to whoever the 4th guy is. I mean, it's bothering me that I don't know his name. But that just seems
Tylan Wallace.
Tylan Wallace, yes, thank you.
From Oklahoma State, yeah.
Yes, I knew it was someone that I liked. He was supposed to go in the 2nd round. They got him in like the 4th or the 5th. Fourth. Yeah, they got an absolute steal there. And Tylan Wallace, I think, is just going to be a better version of Marquise Brown. Because while Hollywood has done well in the past, he hasn't done like really good. So I think
I do have to say, sorry for cutting you off.
No, go for it.
I don't know if Marquise Brown is. I mean, his body is in the mold of a slot receiver, but I don't really know if he's like. He's more like almost like a what's the not Tyreek Hill for the Chiefs? Mecole Hardman. Like he's kind of like that to me. And Mecole Hardman actually does play some slot. Which is crazy that they have. I mean, they're so fast. But yeah, and I was also you can get back to your point in a sec, but they also got a steal in the 5th round as well, I think, or could end up being a steal. They got Sean Wade.
Yep,
in the
100%.
5th round, so
yep.
That could end up being a steal. I think he's only going to go 2 places. I agree. I think he's going to either end up in New England or in Baltimore. And honestly, for the first time, if he ends up in Baltimore, I'm not going to be happy about it, but I think the Browns are capable of dealing with that. So, because especially with all the signings in the secondary. So, but yeah, like I said, I don't know. It's weird to me, like, because obviously Tom Brady was in New England for the longest time, and it seems like players wanted to go there to play with Tom Brady, though. Like, I don't know if guys really I've never heard of P. Honestly, I've never heard of P from Julio Jones or anything like that. So I doubt he'd be a guy. I'm sure he'd listen to Belichick. But I do think there's guys around the league that are like, I mean, I don't want to go to New England and play like that. Like you no longer have Tom Brady. Like I don't want to be back to like a high school program or like a college program where you have to monitor my every move because of that. So
yeah. But those are the 2 spots I think he should go, or he's going. I should say going to go. I have 2 spots that I think he should go that he's not going to, in my opinion. I mean, obviously going to the Packers if Aaron Rodgers is still there should be a number 1 priority because then you'd have Julio Jones and Devontae Adams. Like, who's stopping you? But the more interesting place for him to go would be the 49ers, but I don't know if they're going – well, Lynch and Shanahan are never afraid to make like a big move or flashy move. So like getting Julio Jones would not be the worst. But what are you gonna give up for Julio Jones?
And exactly, and it's almost like if they are. I mean, I think Lance ends up starting a game or two at the end. I would think, or if Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt. But the only question I have then is if you're San Francisco, like Julio Jones is old. I think he's gonna be like 32. So signing him this year, I mean, to play for Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't really know if that's a good idea. There is one destination that I think could be I don't know if they have the cap or I think they would have the draft picks to trade for Arizona. I think Arizona could be and this actually, I'll send you it when I finish it, but I'm writing an article. I'm in the process of it, just kind of talking about, and like I said, we've talked about this, but kind of talking about there are some teams out there whose championship window is going to close sooner than expected. And we have talked about it many times, Arizona, because Kyler Murray's game is just not going to transfer when he's 30, like we've talked about. But yeah, I think he'd be a great fit in Arizona. But the other team I was also going to say, and I'll just tell you before I let the article out, I think Tennessee's got to win the next 2 weeks.
I was just formulating that. Damn it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, my God. I was going to speak, and then you're like, there's one more team. I'm like, dude, Tennessee just lost Corey Davis. Julio plays well with A.J. Brown. Damn it. Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think the Titans should go. I definitely – and they're also one of the teams, like I said, I think that their championship window is going to close sooner than expected because, when you have a running back, I mean – even if he gets another, so say he has 2 more years of 2,000 yards. The running game is not winning in the NFL. It's not. And the Titans defense has been putrid the past couple of seasons, which is crazy because Mike Vrabel's a defensive guy. But yeah, I'm still working on a third team who I think a window closed sooner than expected. But I definitely think that those two, if I'm the Titans or if I'm the Cardinals, I'm saying that because especially with the Titans too, with Ryan Tannehill, he's like mid-30s, maybe early 30s. He's only got 2 or 3 more good years left. Not necessarily good years. He's only got 2 or 3 more, 1 or 2 more years really, where he can kind of move in the pocket, I think.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm looking for a third team for that. But
so I also have 2 more dark horse teams that I've been really thinking about, and I've been talking about it with my father. I think that if you took Julio Jones and you added him to the Chargers could make a serious push for one of those wild card spots because Herbert's now he has Keenan Allen and Mike Williams who are great, but those third receivers, they were running guys that they drafted in the 3rd and 4th and 5th rounds last year with Jalen Glutton, Hill, whatever his name is, and a bunch of other kind of nobodies, and then you throw in the fact that you brought in Jared Cook to replace Hunter Henry, they could use another receiver. So pairing Julio Jones with Allen and Williams is kind of scary because Allen is a everything type guy. Mike Williams is Captain Boomer Bust. He's going 90 yards for the touchdown or he's not catching the ball. And then you have Julio who can kind of do everything else. And also is kind of like Keenan Allen. So I think that putting that there.
I would say Keenan Allen to me is the middle-aged, or not the middle-aged, the middle income, not the poor man's, but the middle income Devontae Adams. He's a possession receiver. He's not necessarily the fastest guy, but he catches the ball. I think him, Devontae Adams, and I can't think of his name. I forgot about it. But I think they're very similar, that they're big body possession receivers that just can catch the ball. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then the other team that I was thinking of, and I don't know how you're going to respond to it, but the Colts. If, Wentz is not the best in your eyes, right? You need to surround him with good receivers then.
And I do the Wentz thing more of kind of like a joke. If you're either a Colts fan, if you're in the just watching the NFL, you have to think that he's going to be better on the Colts. So I agree. He could be a great pick for them.
Him being the true one that they're kind of missing, letting Michael Pittman develop a little bit more, and then you have Ty returning in the slot for a year to provide that short game. And then you have Paris Campbell, who can also run the deep ball very well when he's on the field. So,
and their slot guy. What's their slot guy? Pascal?
I think Campbell will be playing the slot, assuming that they don't get Julio, which is fine in my opinion. I don't know if Zach Pascal moved on or not. Yeah, no, actually, he was brought back on a 1-year deal. I forgot. My bad. Yeah, so they would have a very deep receiving room, which also would help with some of the injuries there.
Well, and also what's going to help out Carson Wentz. I mean, like I said, I still don't think he's very good. I think he's a capable quarterback, though, in the right environment.
Right.
I mean, what's going to help him is the continued growth of Jonathan Taylor.
Yes.
I mean, like obviously we kind of just talked about the Titans and how their championship window is like going to close sooner than expected. Like if I'm the Colts, I'm kind of looking at that the same way. Like, let's see how many yards we can get out of Jonathan Taylor this year. Let's see how it works out for 1 year. And then if everything is going well, I think their window is like 2 years where they could win a Super Bowl after this year. So 2 years, I mean, hoping everything goes okay with Wentz. I mean, Wentz is never going to be the perfect quarterback. He's never going to be Tom Brady. He's going to throw picks. He's going to do dumb things. Right. Baker Mayfield does the same shit. So, like I said, I do most of the Carson Wentz thing because I think it's funny. Right. But yeah, if with the roster that they currently have, if the Colts want to make it deep in the playoffs and make playoff runs, they should basically follow offensively the Titans lead offensively, and then defensively the Colts are pretty damn good. I know they lost Anthony Walker to the Browns, but I mean they still have other linebacker. Darius Leonard, who oddly enough I've seen him compared, or I've seen Owusu Koramoah compared to him.
I could see
it. But I agree. And so let's just get into the NFL. I had NBA. We'll get to NBA in a sec. But
your football right. Let's go.
Yeah, of course, right. So I'm really starting to question Urban Meyer. Like, I understand he's a different kind of coach, and first of all, I will come out and say it about it. I think Tebow has dirt on Urban Meyer. I honestly do. I do. I mean, I think because you got to remember. I mean, he was there with Urban, Tebow, the Pouncey twins, Aaron Hernandez. I mean, so I think he has dirt on him, and I either he has dirt on him or he just wanted to like extend him like a nice gesture or something like that, or just to. But you're the Jaguars. Like, you had the number 1 pick in the draft for a reason. Like, you're terrible. How about you work on like getting better? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. And then, like, I didn't like the Etienne pick. But I mean, he'll probably be useful in the NFL. But like, why are you having why is he running receiver routes? Like, why did you why is Travis Etienne running receiver routes when you took him at 25? Who, when there were, everyone was on the board basically, except for like the top. I mean, you could have taken Bateman. They could have taken Bateman. So
they took Tevin Jenkins to protect Trevor Lawrence because their line is not great.
Yeah, and like I know,
Twice
and
you
then
could have had him actually.
Yeah, and then I know it was maybe a month or two ago, but they brought on a coach with like a bad past, and basically it immediately blew up in Urban Meyer's face, and he had walked away. So I don't know what your opinion is. I'll get your opinion. I just don't know what the plan is for the Jaguars. Like, you have probably the best quarterback since Andrew Luck in your arms, and then you know what? Maybe Urban Meyer's a genius. Maybe this is genius thinking, directing the attention to Tim Tebow. Oh my God, I've done a full 360. I know exactly what Urban Meyer's doing. He's making everyone pay attention to Tebow so Trevor Lawrence can get his work done. Okay, he's brought in
Tebow. I don't think that it's that he has dirt on him. I genuinely think that he actually cares about the guy, and he was like, "Hey, let me come play for you again."
He lives on the same street as him.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I guarantee, like, every day, like, Tebow would be looking at his window
with cookies.
Yeah, no, he's waiting for Urban Meyer to, like, drive home from and then he takes off his shirt and he goes jogging down the street or something like, "Oh, what's up, coach? You see my bod? I'm good to play now." So, yeah, I mean, but yeah. So, but still, all seriousness, that could be what he's doing, but I don't think it is. So I just don't understand what I don't get it.
Well, obviously you have Trevor Lawrence, you have this guy that everyone thinks is going to be a superstar. And then you, with that next pick, instead of protecting him, you got him his college buddy, which is great. But now you have an issue with the sense that the fan favorite of the undrafted rookie and the whole story behind James Robinson is there. And I think Urban Meyer kind of like took a step back after the draft and was like, oh, damn, I messed up. So then he was like, oh, we're going to use him as a positionless player. We're going to have positionless football with him. He's going to play receiver. He's going to run the ball, kind of like a Brandon Ayuk type thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we both said it when they took him. I mean, Urban Meyer is trying to recreate Percy Harvin. It's exactly what he's trying to do. If Urban Meyer could have a team of just Percy Harvins
and Tim Tebow's,
I don't know. I mean, it is weird to think back to Percy Harvin because he really did change. I would say him, now that I think about it, like, he really changed the passing game in the NFL. So, but like I said, I do think he cares about Tebow and everything like that. I just, like, you can care for someone on a personal level. I understand that. But Urban Meyer has to also be like, the whole country's eyes are on me. Like, I got the best quarterback. I'm supposed to be this quarterback guru. I better make him work. So, like, he needs to be able to – I guess he needs to be able to separate his personal relationship from his professional relationship. Because I do think Urban Meyer's a smart coach. I mean, he won two national titles. So,
well, just in Florida. That didn't he win more with Ohio State?
He won one. Yeah, but – and, and I saw this the other day, which – this isn't I think it's actually a good pick. They picked the Jaguars took hold on.
He has 3 natties.
2 at Florida, 1 at
Ohio State in 2014.
I'm trying to think who they just drafted.
Who? The Jaguars?
Luke. Yeah, the Jaguars. So this is the other thing. Like I said, I actually coached against this guy when he was in high school. Luke Farrell, the Ohio State tight end. He played basketball. He's from around my area. I coached against him in basketball. But I mean, they took him in the 6th round. He was supposed to go undrafted. And I get Urban Meyer has a love for Ohio State, but I mean,
I was actually going to use Luke Farrell as a kind of rebuttal. I think he did try to keep personal relationships out of it, but because taking the guy Farrell in the 6th round, that's just a late round flyer. Like, anyone could go undrafted at that point. He took him because he thought they needed the tight end. Didn't know Tebow was going to come and play tight end, and I think he did try to keep
All right. This is where we need to separate real life and fake life. Like, Tim Tebow can't play tight end. Like,
I mean, we don't know. We've never seen it. The Jets
we do know. We do know. Like we do know. Like, they wanted him to switch to tight end, but he was in his prime, and maybe he could have done it then. He's 33 years old now.
Yeah, it's 33. So, it's just not it.
Yeah. So I think Luke Farrell is actually pretty good. I think he'll be a decent receiving tight end. And
I took him in Dynasty twice.
I think he'll be a little bit like that. Who's the Bills tight end? Knox.
I think Dawson Knox.
Like that.
Yeah,
a little bit bigger, but a little bit not as fast, but a little bit like that. So I think he really, Urban Meyer just kind of really needs to, like, from this point on, like, your personal relationships are your personal relationships. Yeah. Your professional relationships are different.
Since we're still talking about the Jaguars, I was looking at an article about the Julio Jones thing here when we were talking about it before, and I don't know if I told you, I finally broke down and just got ESPN Plus myself because I was on yours, and then I was like, wait, I'm not getting my updates on my phone for whatever I was on for. So I went back to my account. I broke down. I bought it. And I was going through. I forgot I had it up until we were talking about Julio. And I'm reading this ESPN Plus article about like a bold take for June or whatever. They say Julio Jones to the Jaguars for a 2022 second-round pick and Laviska Shenault.
See, if I'm that, I
don't want it.
I don't want it either. Laviska Shenault actually showed a little bit of promise, and he's young. I mean, so
and Julio doesn't fit in well there. Like they have DJ Chark, who's young, who I think would play the Julio Jones role.
Yeah.
They brought in Marvin Jones, who can play the inside or the slot. He can play the inside or the outside. And then you have Shenault. I don't think you do that. And
I agree. I don't think you do it either because it doesn't make much sense. I mean, especially because I mean, how many years left on his contract does Julio have?
I want to say 2.
So I mean, you're getting him to be like you got to think that at the earliest, the Jaguars can contend for the playoffs and the Super Bowl in about 3 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. He has 3 years left.
Okay, so a little bit different. I mean, you can make it. I just don't. I still wouldn't trade away Shenault in the 2022 second just because by the time Lawrence is acclimated to the NFL, Julio Jones really won't be a factor as much anymore. So,
yes and no. I think Julio is still going to be good for a little while here. But I don't know if it just doesn't make sense for a rebuilding team to bring in stars. I'm a Jets fan. Like we've lived through this. They never work out. Remember the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, Dwayne Bowe was a great signing for the Browns until he literally didn't even make the roster after signing like a $10 million contract.
Exactly. The most successful player that the Jets have brought in, like after they've had success elsewhere, was LaDainian Tomlinson. But that's literally the only guy I could pull out of the hat that I could be like, okay, that was a successful signing of an old star. I mean, God, I'm trying to think of some other, like Frank Gore. Obviously, we had him. Brett Favre.
Didn't Revis go from the Jets to the Pats and then back to the Jets?
He went from the Jets to the Bucks to the Pats to the Jets, and he was not as good the second time around because he was
he definitely
34.
wasn't. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it's okay. Since now we're on that topic, now that I think about it, like this is good. See, we're getting better. We're growing with our show. Who would you say is the top 3 cornerbacks of the last 30 years? I guess your lifetime, because I think the cornerback position has gotten so good that like I would have to go all the way back to like I think Jalen Ramsey is the best corner there's ever been right now.
Right now.
So I mean the only one I would think about putting on there was Charles Woodson. But he also played safety at the end of his career, and then Deion Sanders. But
everyone does
it's
that.
Just it's just weird because passing is so much part of the NFL now that I mean.
Well, and the thing that I always argue, because like I talk about this with all the time when I'm out at school with people, because I live around a bunch of Bears fans and Packers fans, and everyone has their biases and everything. My bias obviously goes to Revis because he was the best Jet to do it. Like. Here's my thing. Everyone's like, oh, he's in my top 10, but he's not my top 5 because he doesn't have the numbers. People forget the teams that were playing Revis never threw the ball on that side of the field. Same thing as Richard Sherman when he was in his prime because they just didn't move. Or I should say Revis followed the number 1 receiver wherever he went, and they never threw it to that side of the field.
I mean,
that's where the lack of numbers come from for interceptions and stuff like that.
If I was going to create a corner in like 2010 that would fit the league like great now, I mean, Darrelle Revis was really the cornerback who ushered in the big passing era. And I totally agree. He's in my top 3. I never liked watching him play, obviously, because you're right. They just didn't throw to him.
You didn't see any highlights, but like look at that one season, I want to say it was 2010, 2011, somewhere in there, where you look at the list of receivers that he held to under 35 yards. It's literally the biggest receivers, and some of them twice. I mean, he shut down Randy Moss twice that one year when he was with the Patriots.
Like I said, Revis is top 3 for me definitely because he was one of the only few of the corners that I can remember in the last 15 to 20 years that was just so good. Like he was so smooth. He was so fast. I mean, he held everyone. No one could throw on him. I mean, it was crazy. If I was Jets fan, I'd probably hate him a little bit for going to New England, but whatever. But yeah, no, I think if I had to go my top three right now, I'd probably go Revis 2. I'd probably go Ramsey 1. Dion, but I don't. I think I'd rather have Richard Sherman when he was really good. I mean, for me, if I wanted to build a prototypical corner, I would take Richard Sherman's body and his man coverage ability. I wish he was a little bit faster because, I mean, Stephon Gilmore. Richard Sherman, I mean, had that 1 year. Was I talking about Stephon Gilmore? Because I meant Richard Sherman. Because Richard Sherman had like 2 years where he was really, really good. And then you could kind of see him slowing down towards the end. Like I know he got beat a couple times deep. And one Monday Night Football game I was watching was weird. But yeah, that's probably who my top 3 DBs are. And I think that anyone who says Revis isn't, or Revis has to be in the top 5.
He has to be top 5. But like for me, like for top 3, like I'm not saying Revis is 1 or 2. I'll say he's 3 out of my top 3. But like because I do give a little benefit to a guy like Dion, who kind of did a little bit of everything, and did have a lot of the numbers and stuff. And then like Ramsey, Woodson, like all of these guys are all kind of up there for me, and I'm okay with having them in a different order. But to tell me that Revis is in your top 10 but not your top 5, saying that he's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that's just dumbfounding to me in my opinion. Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, he was really, really, really good. And I mean, the cornerback position has become so hard. I legitimately think maybe probably other than quarterback, I think it's the hardest position in the world. But that's why, and people always wonder why corners are always like the trash talking and things like that. Like I never did that just because I was small in a corner. I just didn't. But it to be a successful corner, you have to be a type of personality where you're like, it's me on my island. I own this island. I mean,
Revis Island. He literally started the whole island thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, that was an interesting break-off point.
Yeah.
We talked about Urban Meyer. I did see an article on ESPN Plus. I don't agree with it. You might be able to find it if you go to the NFL. But they think the Jets are going to be picking number 1 next year.
Yeah, so my dad had actually read me this article. I actually got ESPN Plus yesterday because we were talking about this specific thing because he was reading it on The Score. And The Score, while I like getting the news from them and I like the app and I like some of the writers, some of the other writers are not the best. So I went in and I was reading it, and I don't agree because I do think that they're going to have a better season than they're projecting on this algorithm or whatever it is. But at the same time, like I could also see it because you look at the schedule that the Jets have this year and you're just like, oh man, I was going through it with my mother the other day, and it's just, it's one punch after another that you're just getting hit because you're playing the NFC South, which, the Panthers might be the one game that you win there. Then you're playing the AFC South, I think it is. Yeah. We're playing the NFC and the AFC South along with our division, which is very, very difficult because you have the Bills who are going to sweep you. You might split with Miami. You might split with New England, but you're not sure about splitting with either because they have a lot of question marks. So it's a very difficult schedule this year overall.
And like I said, I don't necessarily have criticism for the Jets, and I think in the past, I'll just say starting this year, I think they drafted well. It honestly, like and it sounds dumb to say, but like if I was a Jets fan, I would look at next year and I would want it the number 1 pick again. Like the only way the Browns were able to get to this point was by having the worst record 2 years in a row. So you could get your offensive staple and your defensive staple. So it's going to suck if you're a Jets fan probably to watch a lot of those games next year. But if you want to look to brighter pastures, I mean, even if you guys do have the worst record next year, like look at greener pastures, the Browns did the same thing. So, and And I think the NFL, in more than any other sport, I mean, obviously it's so much easier to build through the draft. Like in the NBA, you can't build from the draft. Like it's very, very difficult.
Well, you can say it's difficult to build from just the draft. Obviously, you can use them as pieces.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where that goes in the NBA, anyways. But yeah, no, I like I said, it would suck to watch next year if you guys do get the first pick. But I guarantee you, if you guys do get the first pick, and hopefully they take someone you like this time next year, you'll be happy as fuck and thinking about how you might be able to contend for the playoffs this year. And I'm being serious.
Well, so I actually, if they do end up with the number 1 pick, I'd like to see them get kind of a Rams Redskins kind of trade back when they were the Redskins for that number 1 pick. Remember the Rams, I think, traded out of the number 1 spot for the Redskins to come up and get RG3, I think it was.
Yeah.
They got like 3 firsts and a bunch of picks beyond that. And all that. Sam Howell's coming out next year. Like, there's no way he doesn't. And QB needy team like the Washington football team could potentially move up again. And because we know that as an organization, they're willing to do that and move up. But at the same time, like, they got burned by it last time. And there aren't that many teams that need a quarterback as of right now. But getting that number 1 pick, yeah, you could get a guy. I always mess up his name, the guy from Oregon. Is it Thoreau? What's his name?
Tyler Show?
No. The Oregon defensive end.
Kayvon
Thibodeau. I wasn't sure. Yeah. Kayvon Thibodeau. He's great.
He's related to the next coach.
Is he really?
No.
I know.
Dumbass.
You look at them side by side. I'm not stupid. Come on. He's really good. They spell their names different too.
I know. Yes, I know. I was fully planning on saying that and hoping you would take it as a joke. But go on.
He's really good. The Stingley from North LSU is very good as well. Trading out of that 1 spot for a QB needed team so that they can take Howell would be amazing for me in that predicament. So I'm going into this season with no expectations. If we suck again, fantastic. Justin is gone. If we suck again, that's fantastic. We will have a good pick and we'll get a good player out of it. And if not, then we're doing better than where we were last year. So I really don't have an issue with that as a whole.
God damn it.
He did the thing.
Yeah, I know. I just say, okay.
He did the thing. Anyway, I got done with my little wrap up on the spiel with the Jets. I have no expectations going into it. And if they suck, great. We're going to get a good player or a lot of picks from the number 1 pick. And if not, then we're going to be relatively decent and it'll be better to watch than what it was last year.
So kind of take this to a different how many from this year on, how many straight, like, I don't think there's ever going to be, at least in the next 15 years, the number 1 overall pick is not a quarterback. I think it's just going to be always quarterbacks.
I'd have to look at like the prospects for the next 3 years.
Well, and I guess that's not entirely true because, I mean, if the Jets didn't get an offer and they do have the number 1 pick next year, I'm sure they would get an offer. But if they didn't want, I mean, yeah. So and also, I mean, if you want a corner next year, the year after, and the year after that, LSU has 3 corners that are coming out. Derek Stingley, really good, will come out next year. Eli Ricks was a freshman this year. Had a better season than Stingley had as a freshman last year, and Eli Ricks' brother is now at LSU as well. So we should have about 3 straight years of number 1 overall corners coming out. But I think that obviously this season will be a question mark for the Jets, but I think at this point next year, no matter what, unless like it's all gone wrong, I think this year, this time you'll be feeling pretty good about the Jets. Like I said, and unless something awful happens, which I hope they don't. And then just to close out this subject, who would you say the top 3 prospects are next year? Your top 3.
I mean, Thibodeau and Stingley are just light years ahead of the rest of their class. So that would put them as in 2 of my top 3. And then quarterback, I mean, it's hard not to just go with those three, with Howell and those two, because they're just the most talked about ones right now. Obviously, we need to see some games and see how some other people are playing. But yeah, those would be the three for me right now. No specific order, but Howell looks really good, and he's playing on a North Carolina team that is not known for football.
Yeah. There's good. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at CBS just released, or I think maybe over the weekend, released their top prospects for the draft. All the first 5 are all defensive players. Yeah, Thibodeau, Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. This is I'll ask you this because you dealt with it with Jamal Adams. Is it worth taking a safety that early?
I mean, normally. Yes, because Jamal Adams was very, very good. Obviously, he made the Pro Bowl in his sophomore year and has not looked back since. Obviously there was the issues that led to his departure to Seattle. But if you can avoid those as a team, and if the Jets had just done what literally everyone wanted to do, which was pay him the money that he had, he wasn't asking for a lot, was he? I think it was like 13 a year or 15 a year or something, which would make him the highest paid safety. But it's better than paying, 20 a year, or 25 a year to a receiver, in my opinion, because he was literally our entire defense until Marcus May kind of had his breakout year this year. And Marcus May was around, and he was a solid number 2 guy. But yeah, I would take a safety that early, but you have to remember that you drafted this guy, and you got to make an investment on him long term because of how good he is. That's always been the problem with the Jets. They've hit on a bunch of their early round picks, but then they just don't retain them. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. So you went with Thibodeau, Hamilton, and Stanley. I mean, those are. I said Howell.
Okay. I also think Howell is the best quarterback in this draft. I will also agree with Thibodeau, Stingley. I think Thibodeau will probably go 2, and maybe Stingley 3. I think Garrett Wilson is also going to be the first wide receiver off the board. CBS has him ranked 6th here overall.
What team is he?
Ohio State.
Right. I'm excited for
Olave. They have Olave at 16. Olave's like 2 inches smaller, I believe. Olave, I believe, just grazes 6 feet tall, and I think Garrett Wilson's 6'1" or 6'2". But yeah, so we talked about the draft order. Urban Meyer. All right, let's go to the NBA.
Are we doing the 6 teams from last week?
Oh yeah, we are. So yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. You have to pick them.
I have to pick them. Okay. Well, which ones did we do last week? So I don't double pick.
Okay. I will do what we did last week. We did Kansas City 12. I had over. You have under. New England 9. I have under. You have under. Houston 4.5. I have under. You have under. Tampa 11.5. We both have over. Jets 6.5. We both have over. In Cleveland 9.5. We both have over. So the only one that we don't have the same on
is Kansas City.
Kansas City, yeah.
Okay, let's do. I'm going to take the most interesting league or division in football. So as 4 of my 6, so I'd like to do the NFC West.
Okay.
And then we can talk about the Chargers and the Bengals.
Chargers, Bengals. All right. I'm looking at. Do you have the win totals up or no? Because I'm pulling them up right now.
I do not. I was just looking at the teams.
All right. Yeah. So it looks like nothing has changed from last week. So what do you want to start with?
The NFC West in general, because I think that's the most interesting division in football.
All right. Who's in the Cardinals in the West?
Yep. The Cardinals, the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks.
All right. Let's do the Cardinals first. Arizona, their over-under is 8.
So when looking at the NFC West, you got to realize all the defenses are scary now, and they all are going to get pressured by a beastie 1 or 2 defensive linemen. Kyler Murray has the best legs that's left in that's not true. Yeah, you know what? I will say it. He has better legs than Russell Wilson. So I will say that he is good enough. He said it's 8 or is it 8.5?
It's 8.
I will go with the over because I think that they'll be able to find a way to grit out some of those games like we saw at the end of the last season.
I'm also going to go over as well. Just because if they don't go over, then something has gone completely wrong in Arizona. So that would be bad for them. Like I said, I think they'll go over. And, I mean, like we said, we just talked about they need to win now sooner rather than later. So
they brought in J.J. Watt.
We'll see what J.J. Watt does this year. I would be so happy if Jadeveon Clowney had more sacks than J.J. Watt. Honestly, I'd be happy if Jadeveon Clowney just plays in 10 games this year.
That's fair.
Right. So Arizona, let's do the Seahawks.
Seattle, what's the over-under?
Seattle, where are you? 9.5. That's
9.5.
Yeah.
God. See, this is why it's the most interesting division in football, because you don't know what's going to happen in this division. You know, the teams that go 10, 11, 12 wins in a season are people in divisions with terrible teams in them, but no one's going to do that. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of these over-unders before they hit 10. And it's hard to not say over for a lot of them as an initial gut reaction. And I'm going to go over here with Seattle because they have Wilson, Metcalf, and the like. But it would not surprise me if they get swept by a team like the Cardinals or the Rams. Not both of them, but just one of them. Because it's just incredibly hard to get 8, 9 wins, 10 wins when you're in a division with teams that are all really good.
Yeah, I mean, the NFC East pretends like it's the NFC West.
Exactly. They have the same drama, but they're all 500.
Yeah. I'm actually going to go under here.
Yeah. I was thinking about it.
I'm going to go under just because it seems like with the way they ended last year, and then obviously with this, I mean, who knows if the rumors were true that Russell Wilson kind of wanted out. I think this year is kind of the year it implodes in Seattle's face. And I think Pete Carroll, honestly, I think he's out after this year. I think they'll make like a decision that either they're going to move forward with Russell Wilson or move forward with Pete Carroll. And I think smartly, I agree. I'd just keep going with Russell Wilson. So I'm going to go under here. It just seems like they've ever since the Legion of Boom, they've steadily declined.
And their defense now is just atrocious. It was historically bad last season.
Yeah, and that's what they tried to recreate Cam Chancellor with Jamal Adams, and I think Jamal Adams is good. I think he is never going to be anywhere near as good as Cam Chancellor was, just because he's gotten injuries already, so that stinks. I mean, Cam Chancellor was insane. I don't know if you remember. I mean, he was so good. He was so athletic. I mean, I can't remember. I think it was in the playoffs, maybe. I don't even know. He jumped over. To block a field goal, and then they call because you can't do that apparently. No, I mean Cam Chancellor, it's fun. Like I said, I played defensive back, so I've always had respect for defensive back. I will say it had to suck to be
an opposing player.
No, not opposing. Okay, so it was Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman. Who was 41?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, God. Okay. So like I said, I'll go under, and then you can go on to the next one. I'll look it up.
Yep. So the next one, San Francisco. Obviously, they used Trey Lance. It's going to be hard, I think, to kind of project the 49ers because usually when teams end up with the 3rd overall pick, you're getting an impact player that's going to make you better than what you were last year. But for the 49ers, they just got hurt. Their entire team was hurt, and they're going to be better regardless. But even then, when that happens to a team, they're getting an impact player at the 3rd pick. But San Francisco's not getting an impact player who's going to help them out this year. They're looking for years to come. So if you look back to their Super Bowl run, I think they had like 10, 12 wins?
I think they had 11.
I'll look that up, but give me the over-under real quick.
Oh, San Francisco? My bad. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Wow. I'm surprised. Maybe they're not totally 10.5.
Yeah, that's just going. I'm saying, I think that they're going to have a very similar run to their Super Bowl run that they had last year. So I'm going to go with the over on that, and it's a lot. I didn't think it was going to be 10.5. I thought it'd be 9.5 because that's what the Seahawks were.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still going to go over with that 10.5. I could see them winning 11 games this year, just because they're hopefully, and this is all barring injury. All of my stuff is barring injury. Assuming that they get all of their players back and they're all healthy.
No, Tom. No, Tom. Like, we're not assuming they're healthy. If you get this wrong, right? I'm just kidding. Yes, we obviously know. Keep going.
Yeah, just like with I don't know what I was going with. I lost it. They're gonna have a good year, and it's gonna be fun to watch. I think.
I couldn't disagree with you more. I think I don't. Like I said, I don't think they're gonna rush to start Trey Lance, but and I just don't think Jimmy Garoppolo can win 11 games. It's like you said, it's the toughest conference. One of the toughest. I mean, AFC was pretty tough too, but 10.5 seems crazy to me. Obviously, Vegas knows something I don't, but I go under.
I said the over because I think that defense is going to be insane. I think that they're not going to let up a lot of points, except to the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, you said it correctly. I mean, San Francisco, Thanks. I don't know. I lost my spot, so never mind.
So, did you go over or under for them?
I went under.
I went with the over. I think that they're going to be a very good team this year.
I know. They could be. But then again, Nick Bosa could get injured again. It's just
that's why I said barring injury.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, that's what they've become. Like, too bad this isn't leading into our Mount Rushmore. It would have made it much better. But
sorry.
All right. Yeah, I had the under. Like I said, like 10.5 is too much.
Yeah. So then the last team in the NFC West is the Rams, who had that big offseason addition with Matthew Stafford, getting rid of Jared Goff. I think that move alone wins them at least 2 or 3 games off of what they had last year. And they retain most, if not all, of their defensive players. So I remember they had like an edge rusher.
Except for John Johnson.
Except for John Johnson. I said almost, if not all. He plays for I think he plays for some team that's in the Midwest. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Go ahead.
Yeah. Who's the linebacker or like the edge guy that they were almost going to lose, but then they like retained?
Like number 94?
Yeah, whatever his name is. It's something like that. He was supposed to leave, and he ended up staying, and they now have him and Aaron Donald again. You keep Jalen Ramsey. The linebacking core is solid. The defense Leonard Floyd. There it is. I was close. That guy was really close. I think that keeping them and keeping the defense intact is a huge win. And then you trade Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford for, if he stays healthy, I think is a top tier quarterback. So I don't know what the over under is, but I'm almost tempted to just say over without knowing what it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. It's 10.5.
Over.
I'm gonna go over as well. I do think that losing John Johnson affects them a little bit, and you have to remember they did also lose their defensive coordinator. So True. It does affect them a little bit, and I think we both agree on this. I think me and you are both going to be cheering for Matt Stafford this year. There's not another guy in the NFL that deserves to make a deep playoff run or something like that. From all the shit he's taken in Detroit. And And now it's just I feel so I don't know why I'm going on this tangent, but I feel so happy for Matt Stafford. Like, he lived in Detroit. It was a terrible place, and now he's in LA to close out his career, and he's still pretty damn good.
Yes.
As long as he can stay on the field. So I remember when the trade happened, and I was like, wait, that makes no sense. I don't like, but after looking at it again, Matt Stafford is the better quarterback. So and we've talked about it before too. I love what Scott McVay does. Not Scott McVay, Sean McVay. Yeah, Scott McVay tried to blow up Oklahoma City. That's actually true.
I know. That's why I'm laughing.
But he treats draft picks like they're just cash, and it's exactly what I do when I play 2K. Like, I'll trade my 25th overall pick for the Chris Bosh right now or something like you know what I mean? Like, I agree, and I know I stated it when I was talking about college basketball and like Alabama and Arkansas going out to JUCO kids and transfers instead of recruiting, really. So, but yeah, I think the Rams are good. Like I said, I love what he does with the draft picks. It just doesn't matter to him, and that's awesome. He's a genius. But yeah, I go over here. But I do think the defense it'll take less of a hit than most teams would have had they lost their captain and their defense coordinator, but they'll still take a hit.
Yeah. So with that, we'll move a little quicker through these two. The Bengals, obviously Joe Burrow is coming back off an injury. He is on track for week 1, apparently. And now he has his best friend from college in Jamar Chase. So what's the over-under there?
Give me I'm going to guess it's 7.
I'm going to guess it's like 7. Yeah.
6.5.
We were so close, and oh, God. It sucks because I could see him getting 6 wins. I'll go over because of the extra game.
That makes sense. Hey, it's good. Honestly, I think it's going to end up being an awesome division with Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Baker Mayfield. But it's weird because I would say the Bengals are the worst team in the conference this year, and that's it. The Steelers are the second worst team in the conference, and they could still get swept by Pittsburgh, I think. So I'm going to go under, but I do think they'll show like signs of improvement.
Signs of life.
Yeah, so I'm going to go under, and it's just because they could easily go 0-for-6 in the conference. So, yeah.
Right. Okay.
And
I'll accept that.
You went over, right?
Yeah, I went over because I said it was going to be 6, but then it was 6.5, so I went with the over because of the extra game.
All right, who's next?
The last team that we're going to talk about is the other LA team, the Chargers, with Justin Herbert. Did
you see his commercial?
I did. It was.
I thought it was kind of funny.
It was kind of funny, but like it was that kind of funny where it's like, oh my God, he really just said that. Yeah. Like it was. Anyway, what's the over under on them? Because I know they have a relatively difficult schedule.
9.
9. I'm gonna go under on that. I think that they can go 8-9. I don't know if they're going 9-8 because they have to play the NFC. I think they play the NFC East, which is like an instant 4 games right there for them. Yeah, you got to assume that they're going to get swept by the Chiefs. They'll probably split with the Raiders because they always split with the Raiders. And then the Broncos, they could have Aaron Rodgers, and that could be a split instead of a sweep for them, or even a sweep of them. Then they play teams like Washington. Washington's in the NFC. That's a very difficult week 1. Then they have to play the Browns and the Ravens, which 2 very hard games for a team that's I would say on the back end of a rebuild, but still in a rebuild section. The Vikings is a difficult out there. The Steelers, another difficult out there. It looks like they play the NFC East and the AFC North. So that's a very difficult schedule. Getting the Texans is a nice bonus there too, but I don't see him getting over 9 wins. That's
I
crazy.
agree. I went under as well. So we're gonna make a quick move, discuss the NBA for about 5 minutes, and then we'll do our Mount Rushmore and get out of your hair. So obviously in the NBA, Trae Young had that big shot. And I know I said it earlier. It's good to see Madison Square Garden full again. Did you see Spike Lee yesterday? I don't know what he was wearing.
Oh my god, it was so
didn't
funny,
make sense. I honestly paused my TV. I was like, what are on his body right now? But, I think it's going to be a really good series. I hope it is. Emmanuel Quickly is a dog. I don't know if you
rookie of the year, dude.
He hit. I don't know how much if you watched all of yesterday. He hit maybe a step in front of the half court logo. Yeah, so
the little
he's legit.
It was not even 2 hands.
He's legit, and this is honestly, it's just an exciting series because you have the Nets who haven't been there in a while, and I mean, it will carry over into our Mount Rushmore. Derrick Rose, the fact that both of his knees have been replaced, I believe, and he's still able to be that athletic. He did the up and under move in the first quarter, I believe. And up and under is not necessarily hard if you just keep it close to your body, but when you go up and then fully around, it's incredibly difficult. And that's exactly what he did. So it's awesome seeing him. I don't think Julius Randle played as well as he could have. But then again, he needs to deal with that because he's the best player on the team. He's going to have to be. And like I said, the Hawks are exciting. They're young. They got Clint Capella, who blocks every shot, gets every rebound. Trae Young wants to be the villain. I don't think you're the villain, man. I hate to break it to you, but whatever.
Yeah, you can't be a villain if you're well-liked by people.
Yeah, and I also think it's a good coaching matchup. Tom Thibodeau is the fact that he was able to get this much out of the Knicks, he deserves Coach of the Year. If we'll get to him in a second, but the Suns coach I think should win it as well.
I disagree.
But and Nate McMillan for the Hawks is a good coach as well. So
I'm surprised that the Pacers let him go. He was a good coach.
I agree. That was the Pacers were okay. Yeah, because I was watching yesterday. I kept thinking he was in Portland, or he might have been in Portland at some point. But.
I think he played in Portland, and he also played for the Pacers, but he went back and coached the Pacers.
Yeah, so hopefully that series keeps going. Memphis and Ja Morant on Friday sent Golden State packing. Ja Morant, if he could play like that every game, I mean, I know that's asking a lot. He would be a top, if not the best point guard in the league. He needs to improve on his 3-point shot because if he develops a 3-point shot,
game over.
Oddly enough, this brings me back to Derrick Rose, really. If Derrick Rose had been able to be a good 3-point shooter early, he would have been even that more tough to guard. And I think the same thing could be said about Ja Morant. I think he's on a path that his career could be what we wish Derrick Rose's career was. But yeah, I was happy to see the Warriors get out. I don't know. Something just popped up. Someone don't worry about it.
Someone comments?
I know, but it just said Shelby called into us. I don't know what that means.
That might be one of on Facebook. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what it is. No, he accidentally called the group. He clicked the wrong thing. Anyway, go on. Ja Morant developed a 3-point shot, God tier.
Yeah. I mean, Golden State, Steph Curry was amazing. He is going to have, I think, a pretty long NBA life. I think he still got, maybe not 10 more years, but 7 or 8, I think. And that shooting can keep you in the NBA. If you can shoot, age doesn't matter. Same thing with Kyle Korver and JJ Redick. So, but yeah, it was nice to see them take them out. And then yesterday, we had this game 1 of the Suns and the Lakers. Ever since LeBron left, I haven't really piled on him or anything. He won us a championship, whatever. Yesterday, he just dives and flops so much, and
yeah, he's been doing that.
He over exaggerates everything, and the Lakers didn't even look good yesterday, and it's also LeBron has gotten so old, not old, but like he's gotten so old that I don't think he can play in like a fast-paced offense anymore. And when they give him the ball to bring up at the point guard, like it slows everything down, which doesn't help LeBron at all. So it was great to see the Suns win. Go ahead.
I was just going to add on, like you said, he was flopping a lot and everything. LeBron, after getting poked in the eye by whoever, was on the ground for, I want to say it was like 90 or 120 seconds or something like that. Kevin Pillar, who took a 96-mile-per-hour fastball to the face, bruises, slumps, stitches on like all parts of his eyes and everything. He was down for 36 seconds and walked off. Everything about LeBron James and his flopping has been so old now for a while because he's been doing it forever.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, but in 2016, in that Game 7 in the finals, Irving hit the shot, and then the Cavs got the ball back, and LeBron was about to throw down that alley-oop, and then he missed it, or Draymond Green fouled him or whatever, and he laid on the ground for like 5 minutes, and like his wrist was broken or something. And it was like, dude.
And he was like, "Oh, I have the cramps. It's too hot in the gym. The AC is turned off. San Antonio is so hot." He got carried off by like 6 people. It's not like you're playing in the gym by yourself. Everyone else is also playing in that, and no one else is complaining about cramps. And
and like I said, this is the reason I think the NBA has kind of come back to me. Everyone's kind of sick of hearing about Kyrie Irving and James Harden, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and it seems like we could have some new blood this year. Like I said yesterday, the Suns beat them. Devin Booker is the man. He's a beast. Hopefully Chris Paul isn't as hurt as he was yesterday because he couldn't even control the ball when he was dribbling. So I made a funny joke yesterday. I said it's no surprise that the Rockets could never, win the big one, considering James Harden was always just out partying during the playoffs, and Chris Paul was always hurt. So
yeah.
But they won yesterday. Their big three of it's not a big three because it came to the draft, but Ayton, Booker, and Chris Paul is really good. Mikal Bridges out of Villanova is great player, great defensive player. So I like the Suns a lot. I will probably say I'm probably rooting for the Suns. And
what happened
I will
to rooting
say,
for the Knicks?
That's the Eastern Conference.
Fair enough. 1-1. I do the same thing. It's cool.
But I will be fully back on in the NBA if the Suns upset the Lakers, just because the Nets, I don't care, but if it's honestly out west, it's like the Jazz, the Nuggets, and new blood, I'm so in for that. I'm so ready to see the Suns win. So
yeah,
I thought it was great. And and then quickly in the MLB, Tampa Bay is on fire. I think we've talked about this a million times. No hitters are becoming way too common, and it sucks. I also have not been really paying attention. Is Francisco Lindor picked up his play lately yet?
Picked up his play is a very relative term. Yes, he's doing better than how he started, but is he playing worth his contract? In my opinion, no. But first year.
And like I said, he notoriously has slow starts. But so with that, and then it's still crazy to me that the Anaheim Angels should be everyday baseball. I would watch them if it was Shohei Ohtani pitching and then hitting and Mike Trout. And once again, it brings us all back to the fact that the MLB just does such a horrible job marketing these guys.
Yeah.
I bet you there are sports fans out there that really don't know who Shohei Ohtani is, just because they've done nothing to help him out. Like I remember when Ichiro came over. I mean, MLB. I mean, he was like a god. The MLB made him like a god, and it's this Shohei Ohtani comes over. No one cares. Mike Trout is probably going to end his career in the quietest way possible and go down as the best baseball player ever, or the best baseball player, I don't know, since Barry Bonds. No one, and when that happens, I'll just be like, yeah, I think I saw him play. I think I saw him get a home run once. So once again,
Mike Trout's been my favorite player for a while now. And like before all that, and everything, because he was from Jersey, grew up in Violin, followed the Jersey guys or whatever, but he's been you never see him on TV. You see him on ESPN for like 5 seconds when they read off his stat line. Ohtani came over. I was very intrigued by his skill set and what he was going to provide because I thought he was coming to the Mets because they were in the run for him. Goes to the Angels, and I was like kind of excited. I'm like, yo, these two guys are going to get to play together. And you never hear anything about it because it's just not a big sport anymore, and it sucks.
Yeah, and I think Mike Trout is either 30, 31, or 29. I think whatever age it was that someone said it the other day. And I mean, I thought he was like 40 just because he's been around since he was like 18
He's 29.
years old.
He's not even 30.
Yeah, he's been around for so long and been so good for so long that it is going to suck that he'll probably go down as the best baseball player ever. And people like even us, like who lived through his prime, will be like, yeah, we saw him play a couple times. So
right.
Whereas in if you grew up in America in the 1930s or the Great Depression or anything like that, and you didn't watch Babe Ruth, you were insane. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Oh, and then real quickly, the FCS Award winners were announced last week. The Jerry Rice Award goes to the best freshman. It went to Incarnate Ward, quarterback Cameron Ward. He left the FCS in touchdown passes during the regular season and passed for 2,260 yards, 183 completions, 26 touchdowns with 2 of them rushing, and averaged 376 yards passing per game. That was good. The Buck Buchanan, which goes to the best defensive player, Jordan Lewis out of Southern. In 5 games this year, he had 10.5 sacks and 15 tackles for loss. Pretty good. And then the Walter Payton Award, which is basically the Heisman in the FCS. I was shocked when this came out. I never covered this guy. I had no idea who he was. I thought it was crazy that it wasn't Barriere or Schmid. Cole Kelly from Southeastern Louisiana. I guarantee you this guy's going to be in the NFL one day. He's 6'7". He's the next Brock Osweiler. Yeah. So, yeah. And then I guess I'll just give out. I think if you want to look at a future for the Heisman, I think any of the Ohio State 3 of them, I would take one of those. I think that represents good value just because they go to Ohio State. I haven't seen Bryce Young's odds, but I would think if they're anything substantial, then you should take that pick too because he could very well win again next year. So that's it. And then, like I said, Heisman. And then my top 5 heading into the summer right now. I'll still say Alabama's 1. I'll say Georgia's 2, Ohio State 3, Clemson 4, and North Carolina 5. It would be awesome to see North Carolina be good at football again. But yes, now we have our Mount Rushmore, which we had been alluding to. And we've also actually made it to do the Mount Rushmore for the first time in like a month. So good for us. Good for us. Yes, we deserve a round of applause. But this is our Mount Rushmore. We're just going to go back and forth. No snake draft. You pick, I pick, you pick, I pick. We'll each do 4 players that we wish just never would have got injured. Like you'll recognize it when you hear our first and our couple picks. So, Tom, you can go ahead first.
I mean, I know everyone's expecting after all the hype and talk that I've done to go with D Rose here, but if I had to pick one athlete in all time that I really wish never got hurt, it has to be Bo Jackson. I mean, that injury ended his career as soon as it happened on the field. He was going to go and be the best running back all time but only got to play for 3 seasons. I mean, it was just such – and Bo Jackson's my favorite athlete, fun fact. His 30 for 30 that's on ESPN is literally my favorite thing to watch and just throw it on. And he's just he's the man. And he obviously went back and still played baseball really well, but not nearly at the speed that he used to play it as. He's the guy that I really wish never got hurt.
Yeah, I think that would probably be everyone's number one. But for my first pick, I have a little bit of a weird one, and this is not it is injury, but it's also just kind of personal. Tiger Woods. I think Tiger Woods would have broken Jack Nicklaus's major record by now, by 3 or 4 by now. Had the whole thing with him injuring himself in the car accident, then which led to the unraveling of his life, which sucked and was horrible. And hopefully, I think he's doing well now. But had that not happened, I mean, Tiger Woods was the king of the world when that happens. He was the most talked about athlete in the world. People loved him. And yesterday, watching it, the Mickelson win, like everyone was so excited. And I was like, he's not Tiger Woods, man. Like I can't get excited for Phil Mickelson. I'm sorry. I just wish Tiger Woods, any of that stuff would never happen to him. All right, you're up.
Yeah, I'm going to go with another football player. This one's a little more old school. And not many people will know his name. Obviously, you will. Gale Sayers. Gale Sayers was basically the first player to do everything. He did kicks. He ran it. He caught the ball. He did everything. And he got into the Hall of Fame. He's actually kind of the watermark for people that don't have really long careers to get into the NFL. They compare their stats to Gale Sayers because he got hurt. I think it was 5th or 6th year. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Oh, there it is. 7 seasons. He only played 7 seasons. He literally did everything. They don't have a ton of like his highlights because film wasn't really a thing there. You could still find some of them, but man, that dude was just electric. That guy did. He was crazy, and the guy that was taken way too soon from the game.
Yeah, I totally agree with that as well. I will also go with a different one, a little bit out of left field. Len Bias. Obviously, this is not just an injury. This is a death. Len Bias, 2 days after he was selected by the Celtics, had a heart attack from a cocaine-induced heart attack. But, yeah, I mean, people forget that going into that draft, I believe, it was supposed to be the rivalry between Len Bias and Michael Jordan. And it could have been that had he not died because he was very good in college. He was a good pick for a reason. So, I think it would have been awesome to see Len Bias face off against Michael Jordan during the 80s and 90s. I think that would have been one of the coolest things. But, yeah, Len Bias, taken from the world too soon, definitely. Also, just a friendly reminder, don't do cocaine.
Right. I'm not going to bring up Derrick Rose because I think that's like something that everyone kind of already knows.
Yeah, he's on mine too. I figured we'd talk about it at the end, kind of. Yeah, no worries.
I'm gonna keep sticking with football because that's my favorite sport, and these are the guys that I kind of like use up all my time watching their highlights for. Earl Campbell, man, I mean that guy consistently was running for. I think did he have 2,000 yards or did he never actually get it?
You can just keep talking.
I don't think he did because there's only 8 people that ever do it, and I don't think he was. I mean, Earl Campbell was just this guy. He would run through people. He would literally. You look up his highlights; they have him because he was in the 70s and 80s. Earl Campbell was the exact opposite of Jerome Bettis. Jerome Bettis was a guy who would always run out of bounds and not fight for the extra yards. Like Earl Campbell forced extra yards. He ran through people. He ended up having both knees replaced, and he had back surgery. So it kind of cut his career a little bit short. I think he only played 8 seasons. But he was a man amongst boys. It was crazy to just watch even like a couple of his highlights. I can't imagine what he was doing on the stuff that they didn't have on those highlights, you know?
Earl Campbell, he had 2,000 yards.
Did he really?
I believe Titans have 2 players in this. Only the fifth player to accomplish the feat. Earl Campbell, 4 in 1980. So he had 4. Did he have?
No,
4?
he was the fourth. That's what they're saying.
No, I'm wrong. I'm 100% wrong. He in 1980, he came very close.
Yeah, I didn't think he ever got it. I was like,
1,934 yards with 13 touchdowns.
How many games though? I think he was. Yeah, I think he was playing with the shorter seasons. That's the argument for everyone with OJ. OJ had 2,000 yards, but he only played in a 14-game season. I think he would have broke the all-time rushing single season record that was set by Dickerson in '84. If he had 2 more games, he would have killed it.
Yeah, good joke.
Got it.
That's a nice one. That was good. That was a good one, Tom. That's a good one. So I will go with another different one. From the world of soccer, Ronaldo, not Cristiano Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo from Brazil. He became, I believe, when he first won it in the early 2000s, he became the youngest player ever to win the Ballon d'Or, which goes to the best player in the world. And through the 2006 World Cup, I think he was still the best player. And then after that, he had a ton of injuries. The thing is, Ronaldo could still be playing today. He would be old and it wouldn't be his top form, but he'd still be playing today had he not gotten injured. And you don't really see that a lot in soccer. It's honestly, unfortunately, becoming more not popular, but soccer players are picking up injuries now more than ever, just because we talk. But I mean, it's almost the same thing in every sport. The speed of the game has just changed so much. So yeah, but Ronaldo could have won 5 Ballon d'Ors, and he was when I was first introduced to soccer, and like when I was young and I played soccer, Ronaldo was always the guy. He was the man. But I mean, obviously, I'm a Cristiano Ronaldo guy now. But Ronaldo, he probably would have gone down as either the best soccer player ever or the second behind Pele, right, and maybe Diego Maradona. Yeah, did you hear that? Diego Maradona's doctors killed him.
Ooh.
I guess that's the report, and it's going to court. So
yikes, dude! Jesus Christ!
I don't know if you ever saw Diego Maradona at the last World Cup, but I mean he was, nice bridge from Len Bias. I mean he was just on cocaine the entire time. Every time he talked in the media, it was bad. So Ronaldo for me, that's the third one. And for your last one, can you let's not pick someone from the 70s. At least I'm picking like people that people know. I don't even know who Earl Campbell is.
You don't know who Earl Campbell is?
I know who Earl Campbell is, but
Fine,
you know what? I guess I guess you're more of a football guy than me because you're just picking football. So you keep doing what you're doing. Be a football guy.
I am going to be a football guy because I'm taking Andrew Luck with my last one. That guy retired after 6 seasons. No one at his caliber would be retiring after 6 seasons against injury. I mean, he retire after making like the AFC Championship game or something like that, like the previous season. No one would do that, and I really wish that he had come back, but now he's 2 or 3 years removed from the game. He got ridiculed by injuries and back injuries, and he was playing through a lot of them. That I think that report came out too. He played through a ton of injuries on top of the ones that kept him out. So if he had been healthy and didn't have even the major ones that held him out, and he kind of, or just even the minor ones that he had to battle through, he might go be the best quarterback right now, but we would never know because he got slammed even with that O-line.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's a great pick. I think his retirement, I think, was also a mental thing too. He was just and I understand it. I mean, he battled shoulder surgeries, and like when he'd come back, then he injured again. So I don't blame him for retiring. He made his millions, and I'm sure he is really smart. So But yeah, I haven't heard people say that one when you think of it, but because you don't really necessarily always think of it as a like a physical injury, I guess. But yeah, that's a good one. And then for my last one, you know what? I'll stick to basketball this time. Yao Ming. Yao Ming.
He was the other guy I was arguing.
Was the first guy, big man, not the first big man, but he when he came into the league in 2002, maybe, I don't know. He was 7'6", weighed over 300 pounds, and then for his first 2 seasons, scored over 25 points a game and 10 rebounds. And then, I mean, unfortunately, I think we all knew this was going to happen. It happened to Greg Oden. That we'll talk about that next. Yeah, and I mean, he had he not gotten injured, which unfortunately I think we all, like I said, we all saw coming because of how big he was. He could have been a top 10 basketball player of all time. Funny thing about Yao Ming, the only real reason that he was basically China told his mom and dad to have sex basically just so they could produce a tall son. Like, I'm not kidding.
I think I started to remember that, actually, now that you say that.
Yeah. So, Yao Ming. Some of the ones we missed, obviously the recent ones, Derrick Rose, obviously. RG3, that's a big one. But once again, that also, I think we saw that coming. We saw the blood in the water there. And I didn't think of this. Greg Oden, though, until I said it. Greg Oden, I mean, he was 2005 or 2002, maybe. I mean, he could have been really good as a tall guy. Amari Stoudemire would have been cool had he not gotten injured. I wanted, because in his early career, I wanted him to go to the Cavs so bad to join with LeBron. But he was an interesting one that I think we left off. And then the last one I have on here, Grant Hill. Grant Hill could have been a much better player, struggled with injuries throughout his career, though. So I will post a graphic, and I'll have people vote who are the best Mount Rushmore. So, but that's going to do it for today. Real quick, what would you think about us doing a trivia show this week?
I'm down for it.
I'm thinking, I agree. I think we should do it. So we'll plan on doing it our next show. If you have questions that you want us to be asked, either tweet at me or Tom, and then you can ask around maybe, but I think I'll have my brother join on and be like the guy asking questions.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so we'll do a full Jeopardy. I'll put it all in place and we'll talk about it more probably later today or tomorrow. But yeah, we'll do our first trivia show. I think it's a good time, just to do something different, keep things moving. So yeah, definitely tune in either Wednesday or Thursday. We'll let you know, and we will do our trivia section, and we will decide who is the smartest sports fan of all. I think it's me. So, and then what NBA picks for tonight? Who plays tonight?
No, I do not.
I know the Nuggets, I believe, play. I'm looking this up right now. Hold on, because I want to give some picks for tonight.
Let's see. Tonight there is the Heat and the Bucks. Bucks lead the series 1-0.
I'll take the Bucks again because I think they're at home, right?
Yes, they are. The Bucks are home. I'd also go with the Bucks. Then we have the Nuggets and the Trailblazers as the other game.
Yeah. What's his? Donovan Mitchell isn't playing.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay, you're good. Okay, you're good. Your mic disconnected.
I don't think Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, I think it was something like that. I don't know. Donovan Mitchell's not on the Nuggets. He's on the Jazz.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But he's out for the next game. However, I'm trying to get the lines for these games. Hold on.
Oh, I have them. The Bucks Heat game is -4.5. And the
Yeah, I'm looking
Nugget for the Bucks.
Yeah.
I'd take the Bucks still.
I'll say, yeah, I would take the Bucks money line probably, and the under 222.5. Yeah. The Blazers +1.5. I like Denver. I think.
Yeah, I also like Denver.
Jokic. You think? Oh yeah, I forgot that. You think Jokic will win the MVP?
Who are the other two guys? I forget.
I'm sure it's Curry. I don't know who the other one is.
I think he gets it.
Maybe. But he has to get it. Did you see how the Trailblazers beat them in the first game?
No.
They just let him score.
Really?
Because he makes such a difference because he's always passing and making – they just said, you can beat us. You can score, and he wasn't able to make playmaking and do things like that. So he struggled. I do think he's the MVP, which also gets me back in the NBA. It's new. It's not James Harden or Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. I'm looking at the MVP award tracker on basketballreference.com. Jokic is number 1. Giannis is number 2. Joel Embiid is number 3. Kawhi is number 4, and Jimmy Butler rounds out the top 5.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm very surprised.
Jokic is only 25. Jokic and Embiid, I hope they bring a little bit back to the game, and not as much Embiid because he's more of just an athletic freak, but Jokic is like your traditional big man, I think. So it'd be cool to see him win the MVP. Like I said, I think it's just good it's not, LeBron or Anthony Davis or Jason Tatum or something like that. So
right.
But yeah, we will. Like I said, we'll do trivia next show, and then that's it for us. Tom, do you have anything else?
Sko Dogs, baby, you already know. We gotta do some more Italian tonight, though, so that's not fun. It makes me so sad. But